There we go. Okay. Hello, my name is Trevor Phillips, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Housing Authority of the City of Salem. I'm filling in tonight for Commissioner and Chair Stapleton, and I would like to call to order the Housing Authority of the City of Salem for Monday, May 22nd, 2023. Would the recorder please call the roll?
Commissioner Nishioka? Here. Vice Chair Phillips?
Here.
Commissioner Gwynn?
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Here.
Commissioner Hoy?
Here.
Commissioner Nordyke?
Here.
Commissioner Varney? Here. Resident Commissioner Villegas?
Here.
Chair Stapleton, absent.
And now would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. And tonight, I believe there's no public comments. Is that correct? Okay, no one signed up. Commissioner Varney, we would entertain a motion for the consent calendar.
I move the consent calendar.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
The consent calendar consists of item 3.1A, the April 24th, 2023 draft Salem Housing Authority minutes. And that concludes the consent calendar.
And now, is there any discussion? I apologize.
That's okay.
Hearing no discussion, would the recorder please call the roll?
Commissioner Gwynn? Commissioner Gwynn?
Here. Sorry. Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoy?
Aye.
Commissioner Nordyke?
Aye.
Commissioner Varney?
Aye.
Commissioner Nishioka?
Aye.
Vice Chair Phillips?
Aye.
Resident Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
Chair Stapleton, absent.
Okay, motion passes. So that takes us to the information item. Assistant Housing Administrator Jessica Blakely, do you have anything that you'd like to highlight this month or bring to our attention?
Hello, yes. My name is Jessica Blakely. I'm the Assistant Housing Administrator for the Salem Housing Authority, and wanted to speak about one of the most important updates we have with regards to the Program Management Report. It came after publishing. We've heard a lot of requests from community that they'd like to see some revamping of our materials to include more visuals on the PMR report, easier to read and review information, presentation style materials for both the associations as well as commission meetings. And I'm excited to announce we have a new team member starting on June 5th. We'll be onboarding her for a communications program coordinator, and she'll fill this role and essentially become the PIO, or Public Information Officer, for the Salem Housing Authority. And so we're very excited to have her on board and bring more information to you in these meetings. Secondly, the Yaquina Hall update. Move-ins were delayed due to the power issue, but we are looking forward to welcoming our new residents the first week of June. We're looking to add some additional pace if possible and move it up from 10 move-ins to whatever we can do to see if we can accelerate that move-in schedule. Secondly, as most of you have heard, our service provider, Crossroad Communities, terminated their MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding, on April 9th of 2023, citing budget concerns. Thankfully, we have an established partnership with Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agencies and Arches, and they've stepped in and taken on that same role on that same day that Crossroads ended their contract. So we're really grateful for their partnership. And lastly, with Sequoia Crossings, we are now at 52% complete. Very excited about that. Was excited to share some visuals for the commission tonight in hopes that you could see what 52% actually represents. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Before I make any comments, does anyone have any questions for our Assistant Housing Administrator tonight? Please, Commissioner Hoy.
Thank you. I have a question. You said 52%. At what point do you start moving people in? Do you wait till it's 100, or does it happen sooner?
Yeah, we have to wait for our certificate of occupancy, and that comes at the completion. It doesn't mean the entire site has to be completed, so maybe there's some landscape things that will still be happening, but for the buildings themselves, they need to be complete before move-in. Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here, Jessica. And please, once again, thank your colleagues in the Salem Housing Authority for the incredible work they do in our community. It was a pleasure to meet with you for our pre-meeting today. We're both filling in. I, as the vice chair, am filling in, and you're filling in for Nicole tonight. So thank you again for sharing. I'm so excited to hear that, despite the hiccups with, the power loss at Ukinna Hall and the quick, prompt switch of service providers, that we're still anticipating having new clients housed as soon as early June. So, a 1 month delay or less is pretty impressive to me, considering what we've been through. And then to hear that we're at or ahead of schedule on the 60 units with Sequoia Hall is also very encouraging. So yeah, that sums it up for me. Again, thank you. Please express your thanks. And I see Commissioner Nishioka has a question.
Not a question, just a statement. I wanted to just say that I was really pleased with the staff report in the ease, again, as we have been asking for, ease of reading, understanding, the listing of all of the opportunities that the Housing Authority has for the people they place. And I just want to say, great job, thank you. And I look forward to the new communications person as well.
Thank you.
And that reminds me of one thing. Thank you so much, Commissioner Nishioka. I'm really looking forward to the new communications officer as well. I think that will probably increase the bandwidth and the possibility of having the Housing Authority go out to neighborhood associations to kind of explain to our community, what's happening. Because I think a lot of people aren't aware of all the work that's happening to house people who most need help in our community. So I'm really looking forward to that. And thank you for all the comments of my colleagues. Is there any other comments or questions? Again, thank you, Jessica. Hearing none, let's adjourn the meeting.
Call this meeting of the Salem City Council for Monday, May 22nd, 2023 to order. If the recorder will please call the roll.
Counselor Stapleton, absent. Counselor Nishioka.
Here.
Counselor Phillips.
Here.
Counselor Gwynn.
Here.
Counselor Gonzalez.
Here.
Counselor Hoy.
Here?
Counselor Nordike.
Here.
Counselor Barney.
Here.
Mayor Hoy.
Here. Councilor Phillips, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, I move approval of additions and deletions to the agenda, which include removal of 3.3D.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Councilor Hoy. Any discussion? If the recorder will please call the roll.
Counselor Hoy.
Aye.
Counselor Nordike.
Aye.
Counselor Varney.
Aye.
Counselor Stapleton, absent. Counselor Nishioka.
Aye.
Counselor Phillips.
Aye.
Counselor Gwynn.
Aye.
Counselor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mayor Hoy.
Aye. Motion passes. And with that, we are on to council and city manager comments. And I am really excited to turn it over first to our city manager because he has a really exciting introduction to do. So, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have an exciting announcement this evening and introduction. Welcome, Scott Archer. Today is Scott's first day on the job with the City of Salem. I can already feel his presence in the office. He was able to go through our new employee orientation this morning and then had an opportunity to meet with his new staff this afternoon. And I think they were excited to welcome him, and he was excited to meet them. So we're off to a very good start.
His position.
I am going to, yes, his position is the Deputy City Manager for Community Services. And that is a very big job that encompasses about a half dozen very important city services, including the library, Center 50 Plus, our Parks and Recreation programming and services, the neighborhood program, our youth services program, homeless response, and our public art program, to name just a few of the services and programs that Scott will be responsible for. I am not going to go through and introduce him by way of resume, but I would like Scott to say a couple words introducing himself to you and the community.
Thank you, Keith. Good evening, Mayor and Council and community members. I am very happy to be here. Today is my first day, so I don't quite have it all figured out yet, but I'm getting there quickly. I kid. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm very honored that I was selected for this position. I do bring to the city an extensive resume of experience with municipalities and local governments, mostly in the state of Oregon and mostly here in the Willamette Valley, not too far from Salem. I have a particular focus and interest in community services, types of delivery of community services to municipalities, and so this is I think it's a great fit, and I will bring a passion for these services to the city of Salem, to the community. I look forward to getting to know all of you, Mayor and Council, and our staff team, and of course engaging with our community. But I'm just honored to be here, and thank you, Mr. Staley, for selecting me to come and join your team.
Thank you, Scott, and welcome.
Just one last follow-up comment. I have encouraged Scott to reach out and to spend some time with all of you council members, so I would appreciate your taking the time to meet with him and to learn a little bit more about Scott, but also for Scott to learn about you. So thank you.
Thank you. Other council comments? Councilor Nordyke.
So much, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. First of all, I want to extend my welcome also to our new Deputy City Manager. I met you briefly earlier today, so thank you so much for that. And I'm still pulling up my notes for the things I want to say, so I'd like to defer and come back if possible.
Councilor Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor Hoy. I was going to talk about last week in the emergency room before I learned that this week is National EMS Recognition Week. So this is the week where we take some time to acknowledge and recognize first responders, medics, paramedics who work in our community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Last week in the emergency room, I was on when there was a mass casualty incident. And that was just the beginning of my shift, and it just got worse from there. It was 2 or 3 of the worst days I've had in my career, and it wasn't just me. It was all of us, whether they were medics, fire, whether it was medical technicians in the emergency room or nursing staff. Sometimes what happens in our community is really, really hard. And I especially wanted to, express my solidarity to and for the people who have to go out on some of these scenes. There were multiple fatalities on I-5, and that's a hard thing for everybody. So I greatly appreciate the work that they do. I know that we all do. and they aren't recognized enough. So, our local medical director for EMS services here in the city of Salem reminded me today, and all of our colleagues in the emergency room, that this is their week of recognition. So I wanted to take some time to honor that. Beyond that, I just have a simple announcement. Morningside Neighborhood Association is having their annual meeting the second week of June. So you can learn more about that if you go to the City of Salem website or Google Morningside Neighborhood Association for specifics. But we would encourage anyone to attend. It should be a good event with lots of community members.
Thank you, Counselor, and thank you for your service to the community and for making that recognition of our first responders. I appreciate it. And I have the Morningside Neighborhood Annual Meeting on my calendar, so I will be there.
I look forward to seeing you.
Counselor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a dream a few nights ago. I was outside in some kind of park. I was all alone picking up trash. There was a lot of trash. I noticed homeless folks about. A man appeared to be experiencing some sort of psychosis. He came toward me. He was tall, with a matted gray beard. I could tell he wanted to do me harm. As he came at me, he was saying things which didn't make sense. I felt my life was in danger. I screamed for help and no one came. Then I woke up. This may have been a dream, but it's not far from the truth. Not far from my lived experience in Salem, Oregon, daily. My home is on Center Street. My business is on Lancaster. Some of the worst that Salem has to offer at this time is happening daily where I live. I know I'm not alone. I may have more vivid dreams than most, but I know I'm not alone in feeling unsettled and at times unsafe. I share this to add, I took a stab at the city budget through the city's website, and I recommend if you haven't done it, you should try. Also, there should be no reduction in police and fire, in my opinion. Other things, luxuries, must go, or pause for a time. Public safety is not an option. It is our greatest responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Nordyke, are you ready?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a couple of things. First of all, I want to acknowledge the farm workers who lost their lives in the semi-crash that happened on I-5. It was a senseless and horrific loss of life of folks who work hard every day to put food on the table for their families. So that was just heartbreaking to hear about and to see the information that has since been put out to help us identify who the victims are. And so my thoughts go out to their loved ones tonight who I'm sure are still struggling to understand the sudden nature of this loss. The other item that I wanted to comment on are twofold. First of all, I would encourage my peers to take a look at the Charter for Compassion. Charter for Compassion is something you can Google online, and a constituent recently put it on my radar screen. And it's about advocating cities like the city of Salem to join a network of compassionate cities. And as they indicate on their website, a compassionate city is an uncomfortable city. And what they mean by that is a city that is uncomfortable with houselessness, with hunger, with communities that do take care of every child and every vulnerable person, uncomfortable when a community does not treat neighbors as we wish to be treated. So there's a lot of information online that I'll be looking further into, but I wanted to share that and make available to my peers on council and see if they would be interested in taking a closer look at that. Certainly we are one of many communities that is impacted by a variety of everyday tragedies, whether it's houselessness, food insecurity, home insecurity, domestic violence, and even human trafficking. The list goes on. I actually serve on a task force of human trafficking related community partners in the area, and it's amazing what happens underneath our noses every single day. The only other comment that I really want to make was more of a series of questions, really. There was an article in the paper recently that spoke about a driver who killed a bicyclist. And I've had a number of constituents ask me for more information about that. So in turn, I emailed the city and said, I would like to hear from our chief of police what the status is of that investigation. Last I heard, it had been referred out to Kaiser Police Department, But I would just love to hear briefly from our police chief tonight about that, because it's something that's raised a number of concerns within my community.
Police Chief Womack is not here this evening and is not obviously prepared to address that. The city of Kaiser is leading that investigation, and that investigation is ongoing. Charging decisions and anything related to that are still very much in process. So I think that really is about the extent of our report that we can offer this evening.
I appreciate that. I'll want more information as it unfolds. Thank you so much.
Certainly.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Buenas tardes. My name is Jose Gonzalez, Salem City Councilor, Ward 5. I introduce myself in multiple languages when I can to share the multiple languages that are spoken within our city limits. I want to thank my fellow Councilor Nordyke for bringing up the farm workers, because that's still being felt in the community, and it hit a weird nerve there. It's really scary, and also on a brighter note, the one of the boards I sit on, the Latino Business Alliance, we received some good news that we got a $400,000 grant from Business Oregon. It's a partnership with Chemeketa, Sedcor, Mid-Willamette Valley Council Governments, and AES, Advanced Economic Solutions, to provide technical assistance classes to the future entrepreneurs of Salem. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. That's exciting news. Other comments? Well, I will just announce a couple of things. We are getting prepared. We are preparing to launch a new video series. It's called 90 Parks in 90 Days. Really excited to be highlighting all of our park properties here in the city, developed parks and undeveloped parks, and getting ready to sort of highlight those and launch a celebration of those really important community spaces. And also along with that, I wanted to just mention that the city will be supporting the Salem Seekers' upcoming scavenger hunt to find glass birds throughout Salem parks, which is, I think, a really exciting thing to get folks out into the parks and be exploring areas that they may not otherwise explore. So be on the lookout on social media for more information about that, and I think that's going to be a really cool thing. So. All right, with that, we are on to proclamations. You'll see, councilors, you'll see 4 proclamations on our agenda. We're only going to read 2 of those at tonight's meeting. We'll be hopefully having other community opportunities to read the other 2, but we are going to start tonight honoring our folks. Everybody wore orange tonight who's getting a proclamation. I think that, everybody must have spoken to each other, because we have the folks from Public Works and then we have the folks from Mom's Demand. So that's, y'all coordinated really nicely. So we're going to start with the Public Works folks. So if you all could come on down, we'll get that one going. Come on in. We probably have to do a couple of rows. Maybe if you could offset so nobody's standing directly in front of somebody else, that'd be great. Wow, this is a crowd. I want to read it first and then we'll do it. All right. Whereas the public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities, and whereas it is the mission of the Salem Public Works Department to provide reliable infrastructure and dependable public services that promote and protect the health, safety, and welfare of our community, and whereas Salem Public Works employees construct, maintain, and operate the infrastructure necessary to live and thrive in an urban environment, including streets, sidewalks, and traffic signals, safe drinking water, stormwater conveyance facilities, and green stormwater infrastructure, and whereas wastewater collection and wastewater treatment facilities, and whereas the quality, reliability, and effectiveness of these facilities is dependent upon the skills and efforts of public employees, and the support provided by the city officials. And whereas the Salem Public Works Department was recognized by American Public Works Association and received accreditation in 2020, reflected a standard of excellence in the field. And whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now therefore, I, Chris Hoy, Mayor of the City of Salem, do hereby proclaim May 21st through 27th as Public Works Week, and encourage community members to participate in Salem Service Day at Riverfront Park on June 15th, where Public Works, along with other city departments, will be present to recognize the important contributions that public employees make every day to our health, safety, and quality of life, dedicated this 22nd day of May 2023. Thank you all. And I'm going to present this to the director, and then I'm going to offer him a chance to make a few remarks.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Councilors.
Oops, did it go away?
I'm still here.
It's on? It's on. Hello?
Can you hear me now? All right, I'll talk loud. Thank you, everybody. Mayor and councilors.
If you talk on this one. Try that. Okay. Otherwise, the TV's not going to get.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors. We appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and we appreciate the fact that you're recognizing National Public Works Week. These are the tremendous employees that treat your drinking water, make sure the drinking water gets to your homes, treats your wastewater, make sure the streets are clean, the traffic signals are working, our riparian areas are taken care of. We make sure that environmental spills are not occurring, or if they are, they're dealt with accordingly. These are all verified professionals, and I could go through the list of names, but it may take half the evening to do that. So we will just recognize them all here. And again, thank you for allowing us to serve your community. We do so with pride and honor. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
I think it's on mute somehow. It's on, but not. Can you help? Anybody? Nobody will help the mayor. All right, he's on his own. Fine.
I can pound it against.
You know what? I'll just sit at my desk and read the next one and we'll use this for a paperweight. It's all right. I'll just read it. I'll read it from here. It's on mute, I think. It said something about RF mute off. I don't know. I don't know what it meant. All right. We will be on to the next one. And I would like to invite folks from the Moms Demand Action to come on down. And I'm sorry I'm not going to join you right away, but I will be there in a moment after I read this. Other folks wearing orange. Franca. And red. Yeah, be careful of the floor. It's a tricky one. This is great. Yeah, we're just going to improvise and make the best of it. So I'm going to read it, and then I'll come out there and join you. Whereas our nation is in the midst of a gun violence epidemic that is escalating year after year, that is largely preventable, and that is irrevocably damaging our way of life. And whereas in 2021, 48,830 people died from gun-related injuries in the United States, a 43% increase over 2019, before the pandemic began. And whereas according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control, Oregon had 670 gun deaths in 2021, the last available year, with a rate of 14.9 deaths per 100,000 people. And whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories, and whereas it is incumbent upon every resident to demand that our elected officials do more to address this growing danger, and it is incumbent on every resident to demand responsibility from themselves, and whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help to help keep our children safe. Now, therefore, I, Chris Hoy, Mayor of the City of Salem, do hereby proclaim June 2nd, 2023 as Gun Violence Awareness Day and encourage all residents to support their local communities' efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives. Dated this 22nd day of May, 2023. I would welcome you to come over to Councilor Gwynn's desk and say a few words in the microphone. I will, there you go.
Okay, should I sit down?
You could sit, yes.
Okay. Hello. My name is Stephanie Hull, and I am one of the co-leads for the Salem chapter of Moms Demand Action. My other co-lead is over here, Lily. And so I just wanted to thank the mayor and the city council for doing this proclamation for National Gun Violence Awareness Day. It's a national day that always lands on the first Friday of June, which this year will be June 2nd. And in celebration of National Gun Violence Awareness Day, the Salem chapter of Moms Demand Action is also hosting a Wear Orange event on the same Friday at Riverfront Park at the Rotary Pavilion at 5 p.m. If you're unfamiliar with what Wear Orange is, it is a national weekend, the first weekend of June every year, and it is to honor victims of gun violence and to honor the survivors of gun violence as well. So we will be hosting that event at the Rotary Pavilion. We will have some lovely speakers, where I think our mayors will be one of our speakers. And we will have donuts from Easy Orchards, and we will do a little visibility walk around the park. And if you are available, we would love to host you. If you are a survivor of gun violence, we would love to just pour love on to you at our event. So thank you so much for having us, and good job. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your flexibility with technology this evening.
Signed up for 2 and 4 for Gilbert House are signed up under 8.
Okay. We have nobody signed up under number 2, public comment. We do have folks signed up for item 8. I am going to hold those to the end because I think our agenda will be fairly brief. So we'll just hold those for where they actually fall on the agenda. So, Councilor Phillips, the consent calendar.
I move the consent calendar.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Nishioka.
Tonight's consent calendar includes the items in order except for 3.3C, which has been pulled by Councilor Nordyke, and 3.3D, which was removed from tonight's agenda. So starting with 3.1A, the May 8th, 2023 draft City Council minutes. 3.3A, a request to create a mid-year project and submit an Energy Trust of Oregon incentive application to replace a centrifugal blower with a turbo blower at the Willow Lake Water Pollution Control Facility. And 3.3B, adopt the Judicial Compensation Review Commission's recommendation to maintain the current rate of pay for judges pro tempore of $79 per hour, maintain the current total compensation rate for the municipal court judge, and authorize the municipal court judge to receive the same cost of living adjustment as the non-representative classifications effective July 1, 2023. Finally, 3.3A, the intergovernmental agreement, IGA, for the exchange of services between the City of Salem Fire Department and the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office. And that concludes the consent calendar.
Thank you, Counselor. I think that last one is 3.3E.
You are correct, E.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? Counselor Nishioka.
Thank you. I just want to say that so many of these things I want to focus in on and praise. I am so happy that we have the new Public Works centrifuge blower, and that I'm excited about the grant for the Forest Service, in the sense that it is wonderful to make sure that we have the tree canopy that we need in our city. And then lastly, I want to call a special attention because of my friend Ruthie Snyder, who's been working on the and maybe I should even call her up, on the between the City of Salem and the Oregon State Fire Marshals in understanding how you need to keep your home or properties safe and avoid the risk of fire.
Creating defensible space is so important.
Thank you. That's what I needed to say. And anyway, I just wanted to make those statements. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Anything else? Counselor Varney.
Thank you very much. I too wanted to have a little shout out in support of 3.3C, the USDA Forest Service grant application. With all my years on the Salem Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, one of our priorities was to look at how we could increase tree canopy, not just on public lands, but also encourage folks to plant trees in their own yards, et cetera. And so the first component of this program, which is community...
Counselor, we're actually going to have this under a special order of business. It got pulled from the consent calendar, so maybe if we hold that until item 5.
Oh, okay.
And then we can have a full opportunity to have a discussion about it. No worries.
Thank you.
Counselor Nordyke pulled that one, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Thank you. Any other discussion? If the recorder will please call the roll.
Counselor Nordyke?
Aye.
Counselor Varney?
Aye.
Counselor Stapleton, absent. Counselor Nishioka?
Aye.
Counselor Phillips?
Aye.
Counselor Gwynn?
Aye.
Counselor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Counselor Hoy?
Aye.
Mayor Hoy?
Aye. Motion passes. All right. We have no public hearings, and now we're on to special orders of business. So, Counselor Nordyke, item 3.3C.
Thank you. I move approval of the grant application with the USDA.
Second.
Seconded by Phillips. Counselor?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I share Councilor Varney's enthusiasm for this program. I wanted to pull up because I was just curious. I see that the grant identifies the wards that would be in play, wards 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. And I also see that if we do it right, if we're lucky enough to get this grant for a whopping $9 million, which would be amazing, it would allow us to not only increase tree canopy, but to focus 100% on serving disadvantaged communities. And according to the staff report, this would allow us to qualify our proposal for a full waiver of the matching requirements, i.e. we don't have to put in money too. We can apply for the $9 million and get the $9 million. I was just wondering if staff could help me explain why they identified wards 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 for this proposal specifically.
Thank you, Counselor. Do we have staff members prepared to discuss this? Looks like we do.
Jennifer Mogolo will help discuss that.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Mongolo, Senior Natural Resources Planner in the Public Works Department. This grant application is a collaboration between natural resources planning and parks planning and urban forestry. The grant program gives us a number of tools for determining what we would consider disadvantaged communities. To get to that question of which wards that was in, I took one of those tools. I'm trying to remember which one it was. But I took one of those tools, the primary tool, which I think was the environmental justice tool from the U.S. Forest Service tree equity tool, perhaps, and I can give you I can share that link later, but I overlaid that with our wards, and those are the wards that had disadvantaged communities. We may be able to do a better job of teasing that out and find that we have some disadvantaged communities than other wards, but those were the ones using the primary tool provided.
Thank you. I have a few follow-ups, Mr. Mayor. So I appreciate where you're coming from. I know that my ward, Ward 7, has arguably the best tree canopy in the city, so I'm not surprised to see that my ward was not on the list. And I know Councilor Varney and I participated in a tree planting ceremony in, was it Ward 4, I believe? Might have been. Anyway, not ours. But we went to whichever one has Yoshikai Elementary School, and I'm spacing on which ward that is offhand. So, 5. Okay, great. So I'm just wondering, this is a part of a $1 billion program from the USDA Forest Service. Do you know, have they ever offered something like this before? Is this a brand new program they're trotting out?
This is a brand new program that's funded through the IRA, totally forgetting what that stands for. Thank you so much, Josh. The Inflation Reduction Act, and it's the first time the U.S. Forest Service has offered this kind of money towards community and urban forestry programs. So this is monumental. The actual amount of money that was given to USDA Forest Service for this program was $1.5 billion to be used over the course of 10 years, and this first grant offering offers out $1 billion of that money.
Thank you. And my final question is, when will we know whether we are advancing in the grant application phase?
I wish I could answer that. They have not been very forthright with a timeline for this grant. I am told that they want to move quickly with awarding grants and moving the projects forward, and they anticipate doing a second call for proposals potentially in the fall, maybe around October. So I'm anticipating sometime by the end of summer, early fall, that we would have an answer, but I can't be positive about that since they haven't released that information.
Well, I wish you the very best of luck, and I'm so pleased to see the city pursuing this funding. I'm sure it'll be very competitive, but I wish you the very best in the application process.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor, and thank you for your answering the questions. This is also, I think, a good opportunity to highlight, we engaged recently with a federal lobbyist for exactly these kinds of things to help further the city's interest in these kinds of grant proposals. So I'm really looking forward to them helping us out in this arena as well. So thank you. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Varney.
Thank you. I just wanted to add on a couple of things. I like the fact that there are two components of this, the community institutions and school planting program, because I think that will serve to connect schools and disadvantaged communities and community institutions to trees and the importance of trees. I understand why the wards that were selected for this were selected after reviewing the tree canopy percentages in all the different wards. It seemed, and as I said earlier, with the Salem Parks and Rec Advisory Board, those are key areas that we focused on when we started the city's yard tree pilot program. I think that was about 2019, where we would work with going into private yards, folks who wanted to plant trees. I think the first neighborhood I was doing that in was in McKay.
Yeah, NOLA, yep.
Yeah, in that area. And then secondly, the Urban and Community Forestry Apprenticeship Program. I had a quick question. I wanted to know where the the students are going to be recruited from. When it said local schools, I just wasn't sure if there were particular schools they were focusing on. And I think it's just really exciting to have interns, apprenticeships for folks to learn about arboriculture and urban forestry.
Well, as luck would have it, we have an urban forester, and he is here tonight. So, Mylan Davis, I'm sure he's ready to answer that question.
Thanks, Mickey. So, we have lots of partners in town.
Could you introduce yourself for the
Sure,
record?
Mylan Davis, urban forester, City of Salem. And we've worked closely with lots of high schools in town with our internship summer programs already. And we've recently hired students from Chemeketa Community College. We've worked with Ike Box Care Corps, who works with disadvantaged kids, and done a program with them last summer. So, you know, we're hoping to reach a lot of outlets in the city, and would have the time with this program to do some of that outreach to those specific. You know, we would like to target students in those areas would be our primary goal, but we're not going to be inclusive into that. It would just be Salem residents and try to focus on educating kids on forestry and having an apprenticeship program, which we've wanted to do for a while.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
That's
Great
very
extension.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Counselor?
Nope.
Any other comments? If the recorder will please call the roll.
Counselor Varney?
Aye.
Counselor Stapleton, absent. Counselor Nishioka?
Aye.
Counselor Phillips?
Aye.
Counselor Gwynn?
Aye.
Counselor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Counselor Hoy?
Aye.
Counselor Nordike?
Aye.
Mayor Hoy?
Aye. Motion passes. Excuse me. And now we're on to information reports. We'll go through these in order. Anything on item 6A? 6B? 6C? 6D? Counselor Varney, am I seeing a hand? Sorry, I was trying to go slow.
No, next one, sorry.
6E? Counselor Varney?
Thank you, Mayor Hoy. Okay, I wanted to just make a few comments on this tentative plan for the Titan Hill Apartments in Ward 8. We do need a lot more housing, and this will provide 436 units, at least in this proposed development, which is really needed. But I did have some concerns as I was reading through this very kind of convoluted planning document. It generated lots of questions. First of all, there are 63 different conditions in it. I don't know if any of you had a chance to look at it, but certain conditions for approval, 63 conditions is a lot. And also some of those conditions were conditional conditions. Conditioned on whether or not the council adopts an amendment to the transportation system master plan. There were just some really interesting things in here that I wanted to bring to folks' attention. And then, yes, we need more housing. I was concerned at the removal of the trees. Many of those conditions specify protection of certain trees or that they get a variance. There are no electric vehicle charging stations, and the reason is because the application was submitted in September of 2022, and we adopted the Salem Revised Code requiring EVAs in December. So I'm a little disappointed in that because there are going to be 763 parking spaces. Also, there's no affordable housing. And they even, there was even a request to remove more trees than the maximum allowed to add more parking spaces. Also, there are no impermeable surfaces adjacent, and this property is adjacent to wetlands, and there weren't any bus stops. So although, yes, we need the housing, but I just wish folks would keep in mind some of the direction we have been moving toward multifamily housing, transportation, protection of natural resources, et cetera. I wanted to comment on it, and I know the West Salem Neighborhood Association has expressed a number of concerns, and they perhaps may want to discuss it with the Planning Commission. I have no, if they have the right to do that. Okay.
Counselor, were those all comments, or were some of those questions that I just missed? I wanted to make sure that if you have actual questions that we get staff to address those, but I wasn't sure if you were just more commenting or if you had questions.
I was just commenting. They were more rhetorical than anything else. I was just surprised.
Understood. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing what you were looking for. So,
yeah.
Councilor Nordyke.
Thank you. This does raise a question for me. Thank you so much for putting out the lack of EV charging. I'm wondering, what kind of EV charging facilities do we have in West Salem? Because there's just not a lot of options anywhere in the city. I know that there's a supercharger station specifically for Teslas at the Target over in the Lancaster Mall area, but I'm not aware of what EV stations we do have in West Salem, and I'm wondering if there's anyone on staff tonight. I know it's a random pop quiz type question, but this raises a question for me. As more and more people buy electric, what kind of charging options do they even have in the West Salem area? If anyone in the room knows the answer to that one.
I think Mr. Staley is going to have some words of wisdom.
I definitely do not know the answer to that one, but the grant application that we will be pursuing with our partners from PGE will distribute 25 more charging stations throughout the community, at least 25 more charging stations throughout the community, primarily focused on disadvantaged areas in our community. So stay tuned on that. That's an incredible opportunity, and the reason why we pulled that grant application earlier was to allow us to partner with PGE and other communities in our area to pursue that grant application.
And specifically, as I recall the conversation, it's for a lot of the more outlying areas, which this certainly, I think, would be one of those. So,
correct.
Yeah, we're looking forward to bringing in some more EV chargers. Yeah. Councilor Hoy.
Just curious, is there any way to know how many electric vehicles we need to provide service for? You definitely don't have the answer to that.
I don't have the answer to that one either, other than when you look out at what is being projected and how this is going to change over time, there will be a time in the not too distant future when EV far outpace gasoline powered vehicles. So that time is coming soon. When you look at laws like the state of Oregon and the state of California have that basically prohibit the sale of combustion engines by 2035, we need to be planning for that future because it's going to be substantial. Major automobile manufacturers are also looking at phasing out combustion engines. GM has announced that they are going to halt combustion engine production in 2035 as well. So we are just at the cusp of that and starting to build the infrastructure for it, but it can only grow from here.
Anything else on this one? All right, item 6F. 6G. All right, that concludes information reports. We are on to first readings.
Ordinance Bill Number 8-23, an ordinance relating public murals, amending Chapter 15 of Salem Revised Code.
Councilor Phillips.
I move that we advance Ordinance Bill 8-23, amending SRC Chapter 15 to second reading for enactment.
Second.
Seconded by Nordyke. Discussion. Councilor Nishioka.
You're looking at me. What is this?
I knew you had comments. I knew you had thoughts.
I simply want to say that I am very excited about this. This was my first motion, and I'm very happy that the legal team did such a great job and even encouraged me to move forward with this motion, and I am so happy that it's coming through. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Good work. Counselor Hoy.
Does this have anything to do with Dave's Hot Chicken? Okay, thank you very much.
I have so many things I could say, but I'm filtering all of them. Any other comments? All right, if the recorder will please call the roll.
Counselor Stapleton, absent. Counselor Nishioka?
Aye.
Counselor Phillips?
Aye.
Counselor Gwynn?
Aye.
Counselor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Counselor Hoy?
Aye.
Counselor Nordike?
Aye.
Counselor Varney?
Aye.
Mayor Hoy?
Aye, motion passes. On to second readings, item 7.2A.
Ordinance Bill number 9-23, an ordinance relating to use of public property, amending SRC 95.720 and repealing SRC 95.730, and ordinance bill number 6-20. Counselor Nishioka?
Aye.
Counselor Phillips?
Aye.
Counselor Gwynn?
Aye.
Counselor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Counselor Hoy?
Aye.
Counselor Nordike?
Aye.
Counselor Varney?
Aye.
Counselor Stapleton, absent. Mayor Hoy?
Aye, motion passes. All right, now we are on to public comment for items not on our agenda. We have 4 people signed up. As a reminder, I'll ask you to come forward to the microphone, make sure it's turned on. Introduce yourself with your name and either your address or your ward, and you have 3 minutes. And when you have 1 minute to go, the orange light will flash, and when your time is up, the red light will come on. Also, there should be a timer up on the screen over here, hopefully. And so if you, at the end of your time, if you would end your remarks, that would be much appreciated. So with that, we will call up Angelica Perez first. Just hit that button there on the microphone. There you go.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Angelica Perez. My address is 3942 Camishawn Court in Salem, Oregon. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
You're doing just fine. Just take a deep breath and you're doing just fine.
Thank you, council members, for providing us this crucial platform to address the pressing matter at hand. Today we gather here as dedicated employees of the Gilbert House Children's Museum, unified in our cause. We are the voices that have echoed through the streets in front of the museum, tirelessly fighting for what we believe in. And today we stand before you to shine light on a troubling situation that has unfolded within the walls of our cherished institution. It is first and foremost crucial to recognize that the city owns the property on which the museum stands. As such, the city has a significant stake in its success, not only from a financial perspective, but also in terms of a cultural enrichment and community engagement. The museum should be a beacon of knowledge, a source of inspiration, and a hub of learning through creative play for the children within our city. Our purpose here today is to defend the legacy of A.C. Gilbert, the visionary and namesake of our museum, a man who fervently believed in transformative power of learning through creative play. He understood the importance of treating employees with respect and recognizing that the heart of the community lies within the walls of the workplace. In reality, the Gilbert House has strayed far from these noble ideals. Under the current leadership, we have become the victims of a hostile work environment subjected to mistreatment that knows no bounds. Essential equipment has been snatched away, break spaces have been restricted, and even long-held office spaces have been cruelly taken from us. And if that wasn't enough, the termination of key employees and barring the facilities lead serves as a stark reminder of the depths of which leadership will sink. They claim these terminations were unrelated, but we know the truth. They are the desperate attempts to silence and punish those who dared to openly question the lack of accountability and mismanagement of our beloved museum. The lack of accountability has left the indelible mark on the Gilbert House. Our daily programming has been diminished, and our once vibrant community involvement has been extinguished. Since the wrongful termination of several key operation staffs, several standards have plummeted even further. Sanitation is no longer a priority within our exhibits. In the bubble factory, bacteria and flies are infested in the space, a disheartening sight indeed. Instead of addressing these issues properly, the employees are handed fishnets, tasks of removing dead flies from the bubble solution. This is a Band-Aid on the solution that exposes the grave lack of oversight and care within our beloved museum. Our once vibrant bubble factory now stands as a hollow shell of a mere semblance of what once was. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelica. We appreciate your comments. Stefan Loper.
Good day. My name's Stefan Loper. I am from 2287 Joplin Court Street South. Good day, esteemed members of the council, fellow citizens, and my valued colleagues. I stand before you today as a representative of the mistreated workers of our museum, who have endured various forms of unfair treatment. It is imperative that we shed light on the mistreatment faced by these dedicated employees, and I shall outline the key issues we have faced. Firstly, favoritism has plagued the workplace, with certain individuals receiving preferential treatment while others are left feeling marginalized and undervalued. This discriminatory practice has created an environment of divisiveness and diminished morale among the workers. Furthermore, retaliation against employees who have voiced concerns or sought to expose misconduct is alarmingly prevalent. The hostile environment stifles open communication, prevents the resolution of problems, and instills fear in those who may contemplate raising legitimate issues. Discrimination, whether based on gender, race, or other factors, has been a disturbing occurrence within our museum. This not only damages the affected employees, but also undermines the principles of equality and diversity that our city should strive to uphold. Lastly, coercion has been employed as a means to maintain silence and prevent workers from advocating for their rights. This type of behavior, This type of behavior is not only morally wrong, but also infringes upon our fundamental rights and dignity as workers. We must address these injustices and create an environment for all employees where all employees are treated fairly and respectfully, irrespective of their background or personal connections. Our museum should be a place of creativity, inspiration, education, and inclusivity, both for its visitors and for the individuals who work tirelessly behind the scenes. Thank you for allowing me to shed light on the mistreatment faced by the workers. Together, let us strive for a museum that fosters a positive, respectful, and supportive work culture. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'll yield
Stefan.
my time.
Daisy Garibay.
Hello, my name is Daisy Garibay. I'm at 40...
If you could pull that microphone a little bit closer so we could be sure to hear you. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Daisy Garibay, and I'm at 4744 Countess Court. And thank you, council city members. I stand before you today not only as a concerned citizen, but also as a current employee of our museum. I feel compelled to share my personal experiences and highlight the mismanagement that has plagued this institution. Favoritism and a lack of accountability have seeped into the very fabric of our museum's operations. Promotions, rewards, and opportunities for growth seem to be granted based on the personal relationships rather than the merit and dedication. This creates an environment of frustration and undermines the motivation of the entire workforce. Moreover, there have been instances of coordinators abusing their positions, engaging in theft of time during working hours. Instead of fulfilling their responsibilities, they engage in personal activities such as sleeping or practicing dance routines on the job. Such behaviors not only undermines the productivity, but also compromises the reputation and professionalism of the museum. Additionally, our museum has suffered from poorly executed exhibit contracts as proper oversight has been lacking. A notable example is the ill-conceived Bubble Factory exhibit, which failed to meet the expectations due to inadequate planning and execution. These instances of mismanagement reflect poorly on our institution and hinder its ability to provide enrichment experience to our visitors. Much of the exhibit has either had to be repaired or removed. We also face the issues of long broken exhibit pieces that have not been repaired or replaced. This negligence not only diminishes the quality of the visitor experience, but also demonstrates a lack of attention to detail and a care for the museum's collections. Furthermore, a lack of programming and community involvement has hindered the museum's ability to engage with the public effectively. Our institution should serve as a hub for educational programs, cultural events, and community outreach. Regrettably, these opportunities have been overlooked, depriving our city of a valuable resource for inspiration and learning. To the Council, I implore you to take action and address the ongoing mismanagement, hostility, and negligence within our museum. Our dedicated employees like myself want to see positive change, a renewed community to excellence, and a culture that values accountability, professionalism, and community engagement. Thank you for your time, and I hope that our collective efforts can restore our museum's true potential and ensure its continued success for generations to come.
Thank you, Daisy. Bob Rossi.
Good evening. I'm Bob Rossi. I live at First Ward. Y'all come up and visit sometime, please, and say hi. I've listened to both sides in this dispute at Gilbert House, and I believe that the workers do deserve justice. I'm not speaking this evening on behalf of anyone, but as a community member. Gilbert House is iconic. It's an important part of our community, and you've heard that the workers want to keep Gilbert House on mission and see it thrive. Now, I'm aware that some community leaders are stepping up to mediate between the workers and management. The response of management to the protests and community inquiries has been dismissive and corporate sounding. I'm hoping that some of our city council people or our mayor will meet with both sides and give Gilbert House management the nudge they need to move forward with meeting with the formerly and currently employed workers there and their chosen mediators as equal partners and getting to a mutually satisfactory agreement. These are smart, creative, forward-looking group of young people. They're brave. It takes a lot of courage to stand up here for justice. They're engaging in collective action and taking the moral high ground. They have a list of common sense goals. Some of them are paying a pretty stiff price, I believe, for their activism. And they're very nervous being here this evening. So please lend them a hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rossi, and thank you all for sharing your perspective on this situation. I know I've been contacted by a number of people about this situation, and still have more questions than I think I have answers, and so I appreciate hearing from all of you tonight. Thank you. And with that, that is the last item on our agenda, so we are adjourned.